As we're now more of a third of the way through my top 30 favorite films of all time, we now come to number 19, which is a movie that I think nearly every movie lover has seen. If not, you really need to stop watching right now and go watch this movie that I'm about to talk about here. It's, of course, Brad Bird's 1999 animated classic, The Iron Giant. Honestly, I really don't think I need to explain why this movie is not only a great movie, but it's also one of the best animated movies ever made. I mean, a lot of people have already said it already, but, everyone's already talked about how great of a movie it is, and rightfully so. So let's throw in my take on this whole thing. The Iron Giant, of course, is a story about a boy named Hogarth, raised by his mother, who's the widow of an Air Force pilot. She's played by Jennifer Aniston. Hogarth is played by Eli Marienthal, who discovers an Iron Giant who fell from space with the voice of Vin Diesel. With the help of a beatnik named Dean, voiced by Harry Connick Jr., they have to stop the U.S. military and a federal agent, voiced by Christopher McDonald, from finding and destroying the Giant. The Iron Giant takes place in October 1957 in the American state of Maine during the height of the Cold War. And let's start with the voice cast. Like I said, a lot of great talent involved in this film. They do a really great job of bringing these characters together. You got Eli Marienthal as Hogarth, Jennifer Aniston as his mother, Harry Connick Jr. as Dean, Christopher McDonald as Mansley, John Mahoney as the General, and the biggest surprise of all, Vin Diesel as the Iron Giant. I mean, we just talked about it over on Time About the Movies when we had two Vin Diesel movies to talk about today. Vin Diesel really is a lot better than I think a lot of people give him credit for. The guy knows how to act in good movies. He's not just in Fast and Furious and Guardians of the Galaxy. He has a lot of good movies to his name, and this is one of those films where he really doesn't say a whole lot, but man, when he talks, you really do buy into his role as the Giant. I mean, they all work incredibly well in this movie. The characters themselves are memorable. The relationships between all the characters all work really well. They don't really feel forced in whatsoever. The script does a very good job. Tim McCandless wrote the script for this. It's amazing to see that this was an original idea, not adapted beforehand. It's a fresh written script, and you really have to wonder why most screenwriters can't look at this movie and get some inspiration to write an original script. On top of that, the animation in this is top-notch. This is back when Warner Brothers was trying to make movies on the level of Disney, but every time they tried to do it, it was always bombing the box office. You had something like A Cat Still Dance, which is extremely underrated, Quest for Camelot, which is not a good movie, Osmosis Jones, Looney Tunes Back in Action. None of these movies really did well, and The Iron Giant really does have some of the best animation that Warner Brothers had done with those movies at the time. They managed to combine both the regular traditional 2D animation with the computer animation, mostly on the Giant, and make it seem flawless. And it's all because of Brad Bird. He managed to do the same thing with The Incredibles. If you go look at the pre-production animation on The Incredibles, you can see how they started with the 2D animation on some of the scenes before they rendered it into 3D. And of course, one of the things you can't really overlook with the film is the end of the movie. It is such a great moment because, and it's such a heart-wrenching moment too, because you've come to love this Giant and the sacrifices that he had to make at the end. And the way it's presented is so beautifully done. I'm not even going to say what happens if it will even show, because you really need to see it for yourself if you haven't seen it. But I will just say that once you hear the word Superman uttered when he says it, it's hard not to start shedding a tear, and even somebody like me who hardly cries at movies broke down when that happened at the end. It's just very effective how that worked out. It's a shame that this movie bombed at the box office, but Warner Brothers, I'm glad to see it has had the cult following over the years, but you really hope that this did better, because Warner Brothers could have continued to make great movies on this level if the film had done better. But like I said, I'm glad the film has found an audience. The Giant has actually appeared in several different WB properties, like Ready Player One and Space Jam: A New Legacy. What more can I have to say about this movie? If you haven't seen The Iron Giant yet, you need to see this movie. It will leave a great lasting impact on you. It's a brilliant movie that needs to be considered as one of the great films of all time. It really is. It's my 19th favorite film of all time. So thank you once again for watching. If you want to see some of the other movies I've talked about, check out the last one I did on Cinderella. I almost said the Blues Brothers, but also check out some of the other videos I've done here. And with that said, I will see you guys next time. So until then, take care.